Hello and welcome to Simufur, back again for round 2, this time at Kyalami Grand Prix circuit. And tonight, unfortunately, I'm flying solo as Zars sadly had to work tonight, but hopefully he gets to tune in and see what's going on. And give me some feedback later on in the evening, maybe when he gets home and he's able to chill out and watch this, just like you all are. Welcome back if you watched last week. We're in for a good one this week. There's a lot of drivers turned up again this week. Grand total of 30 cars we can see on the race course. Some of them sat in the pits after being out for some practice. Drivers have had an hour to practice, so with that being said, some of them are just eager to get into qualifying now. Got a few new people joining us tonight, those that weren't quite able to make it last week. We're going to go through the grid now whilst we've got 10 minutes left. We can see on the track now it's Surex, LPR Surex. They did sign up to it, but they weren't able to make last week, so here they are now. Taking on Kyalami, excuse me, as they go round the first corner. Quite a few nice corners in Kyalami. A lot of the drivers in Simufur will tell you it's one of the best tracks to race on because there's just a bit of everything here. You can see Surex now going down onto the aptly named corner Sunset, which looks absolutely beautiful around about 4 or 5 o'clock in the evening game time. However, drivers today are driving pretty much in the morning. We've got 2 races for you, one at 20 minutes long, and then a reverse grid second race at 30 minutes long, where the drivers that didn't quite finish well will get their chance to defend off the rest of the pack and go for gold. You can see Surex there is going all out. They're going all out in the car. We also have tonight Azzy. She did initially turn up for practice last week, but I think then she wasn't able to make it. She had to leave or something, but she's here today. Now hopefully she has a good race or 2 races with us. Paula Brady, who's out on track now with a brand new livery just launched today. Car number 148 is Paula Brady. She joins us tonight at Kyalami for the second round of the Porsche Cup. Haven't had much feedback from many of the drivers about the car. The newer ones, the newer drivers in tonight have definitely been the first drivers to mention how quite a handful this car is. We saw some of it last week at the track, of which I have forgotten. We'll find that out later. Anyway, here's another newbie to the Porsche Cup so far. This is Yami. Yami only joined Simufur yesterday and was keen as mustard to get involved with us. So they're on track now in the number 6 Porsche 992. We wish them, we wish them all the best. Nick's joining us tonight in the number 17 Porsche. He was here last week. We didn't get a chance really to go through the liveries, as pretty much as soon as the stream started, we were straight into qualifying. So here you are. You can see the number 17 Porsche driven by newbie Nick, or we're going to call him Nick. Back for another round. It's KM's own driver. KM's own driver, number 14 Attic Racer. We know him as Kevin, so we're going to call him Kevin for the rest of the night, and hopefully he doesn't mind. Speaking of KM, we have the lead executive of KM on the track with us tonight as well. It's number 604, and it's Sarah, the lead car of KM. And here we can see in the 604 silver and blue Porsche Cup. She was here from the start last week. We didn't get to see many of the cars up close because the action in the racing was very good. We had to keep our eyes very much glued on the front runners of Name and Pingu. Pingu tonight couldn't join us. He does have some real life stuff to take care of, so we wish him all the best with that, and we'll see him next week. Oh dear. Good catch from Sarah on the start-finish straight. Name is also here though. He has come back for another round. He's in the pits at the moment along with car number 86, Simufur's Chief Executive Fez Fox in the black, white and blue Porsche there. You can see it with the Simufur scrolled on the side. Yeah, so if we not had a look at number 44 Danny, we didn't get to see him much, but he was well and truly in the race last week. Just letting a couple of drivers by. Bracken number 95 was here last week. You can definitely not forget that Porsche. Very nice bright orange Porsche it is as well. We wish him all the best. Simufur's Formula 1 Championship commentator Plasma Raider in the number 12 Porsche 992. Again with his own pink and blue livery, or he's going to tell me it's purple and blue, so we're going to call it purple just to make sure I don't get shouted at later on today. We wish him all the best in the next 2 races coming up, qualifying of which will start in just under 5 minutes now, so we're well on the way into the session. Brand new to us again is the number 77 Porsche of Cammers, eagerly sporting the McDonald's logo. Black, orange, white and McDonald's. Kentucky Fried Chicken Inner Pizza Hut. That is Cammers in the number 77 Porsche. Seffi is back for another go in the Race Ventura 22 Porsche. Race Ventura have also got a couple of drivers with us tonight. So in Race Ventura we've got Seffi, who you can see parked up there. Leftism, or Phil as we know him, will be in the 225 RV. And Grim Lily in the number 115, our current AM champion winner and recently promoted to silver driver. He gets on very well with the Porsche GT3, the main Porsche, so this car has been a little bit more of a challenge for him, but it's a Porsche all the same at the end of the day. It's got the same characteristics. So that's RB. So LPR have a few of their own drivers in as well, so let's have a look through them. We've got LPR's Chief Executive and owner of Leadpaw Racing. It's Pan Hiraday. Pan has been working nearly all week to put this livery together. They're sponsored by Racing Pride as well, so very well done for them. They're driving, in the number 84 Porsche 992. Back with that famous number 660, it's Skylar Vixen, another driver for KM. I just wanted to mention them quickly before we move on to the rest of the LPR drivers. Skylar wasn't able to make it last week, but she's here tonight, hoping to take on the challenge that is Kyalami. Coming back to LPR as well, we have, forgot to mention it, we do have the 148 that is Paula. As I said earlier, we have a brand new livery with Paula tonight. This is the first time we're seeing this livery, the first time anyone's seeing this livery, so good on her for sporting it. As we move up the field, we come back to Surex again, and they are also with LPR Racing, so that is 3 LPR drivers, unless I spot another one anytime soon. 3 Race Ventura drivers and 3 Kvetch Motorsport drivers, all in the Porsche Cup for you tonight, all hoping to battle it out over the next hour or so among the races. There will be a brief pause between all these races, just while the drivers switch over and take their positions on the grid. I believe we may have found another LPR driver, and that is number 6, Yami. We did briefly mention Yami, but we're going to have another look now since we are connecting LPR together. And here they are then. If I have got this wrong, I apologise in advance. It is very hard to keep up with these. Back in the Ridge Racer Porsche Porsche number 765. It's worth noting here, it is not the number 3. The number 3 is literally just part of the created Ridge Racer retro livery that he's coming in with. Looking forward to seeing Azure up the front of the grid tonight. Hopefully we can see what he'll do. Snooty McLeod is in car number 48. We've seen Snooty's livery before, but it's very, very well contrasted. It looks almost pearlescent with the blue and the pink joining one another, blending into one another. That's what I was looking for. Right then, and we have a look at a few other drivers on the grid. We've got Joker in the number 62 Porsche. Joker running a blue and orange livery there. He's chasing Sarah, it looks like. They are both on a lap. So hopefully they're both going to be alright there. Both of them seem to be going at it really, so we'll leave them to it. Dip is back in the number 38 black and pink Porsche. Didn't have a great week last week, but he still finished relatively high compared to the amount of drivers on the grid. And number 118, Mr. Obnoxious, or as we know him, Cushman, or Cush as we're going to stick to for this one. Cush, I believe, was here last weekend. But nevertheless, they're here now and looking forward to taking on Kyalami with everyone else. Nate is currently out on the track as well. Bit 50-50 whether or not he was coming tonight, but it's good to see the 131 back for another challenge. Drivers have got about 1 minute and 30 left to finish the laps that they're on before we then move on to the qualifying session. Most people back in the grid now, a few of them trying to squeeze that extra few minutes out of the time that they've got. They have had an hour practice session before the stream went live. Stream didn't go live at the start of the hour session because quite frankly I don't know what I would talk about whilst they were all practicing, because there's not really much to do there. It's best to let them get on with it and get their practice done and out of the way. They also get a week beforehand to practice for the race as well, so by the time it comes to doing any amount of racing on the track that we're on, we're hoping that most of them have warmed up to the track. I believe we have another new driver on before we go live to qualifying. Just have a look for him now. Oh, and we have started. And we have started qualifying. The driver I was going to come to is the number 757 of Deeds. So there he is. So we'll see them out in a minute then. But anyway, so first out onto the track we have Azure then in the Ridge Racer 992, Porsche number 765. And he's joined with Saber Kitsune in the 523, and Surex is not far behind them, as well as Grim and Yami as well. Dip is also in there. A few cars getting out quite close to one another on their out laps for anything else, so it looks like everybody's beginning to leave the grid pretty much all together. Now that can work well, but there's 32 cars on the track, so you would hope that coming into doing their laps that they would start leaving each other a bit of a gap. But nevertheless, it is Azure that will lead us on to the first fly-in laps of the Simufur Porsche Cup qualifying then. So this will determine the starting position for race 1. And then hopefully the end of the race results will determine the position for race 2. couple of drivers left yet to leave the pits as Cameras and Sarah. They're choosing to come out now, just as the main part of the grid's coming, start their flying laps then. So I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to go on board with Azure as he takes us on a flying lap of Kyalami in the number 765 Porsche 992. So here we go then, round the first turn. You can see Sarah's pulled off there to give him the space to get through. Immediately throwing the car into turn number 2, trying not to hit that curb as we line up for number 3. Can get away with coasting most cars around that corner, but there we go then. So he works it up. Gear 4, coming into gear 5 for a little bit before coming down to Sunset Corner. So far he's got control of the car, and he is still valid there. It is a little bit wide, but nevertheless he'll know that as well. So as a banker lap, we're doing very well so far. Very tight twisty section coming up just there, and then onto a hairpin before going down, I believe, what they call mine shaft. Here we go, coming through the hairpin now. Couple of yellow flags there as some of the drivers get eagerly awakened by the no traction control that isn't contained in the Porsche 992. Here we go with Azure around Cheetah Corner. Nope, not Cheetah Corner, excuse me, I'm a little bit ahead of myself. Corner coming up now, very tight right-hander, the yellow sausage there, it's Cheetah Corner. Bit of a bump. Oh, and that's a shame, it's gone valid, and he just about catches the car there. So that's going to have to be another lap for Azure before he can bank one. However, Sirex will be the first one to put in a time of 1:44.9. That's immediately beat by Grimm with a 1:44.7. And he'll hold on for now. Yami comes in with a 1:45.3 and Snooty with a 1:49. Immediately bested by Wushel with a 1:45.3. And almost equaling Yami. But it's Fezfox for now. With 10 minutes left, it will go into P1 with a 1:43.8. That is lightning fast. We're yet to see something from the May yet, but Cafe pushes Grim Lilith down in position by going in with a 1:44.6. And Valmathor is answered with a 1:44.9. Very close together, the top 5 are at the moment. Wushel comes in with a 1:45 along with Plasma. Azzy, she comes in with a 1:46 along with Nate. These two are very, very close to one another. Nate and Azzy, they are absolutely going out for it. They're both on a good lap at the moment. Both hoping to best their lap. And the May goes into P3 with a 1:44.7. Not bad so far. A lot of people trying very hard on their lap. So we've got a spin off from Fops. Don't know what's happened there, but hopefully they're okay. We've got a slow driver a couple of cars back, but we can see drivers, almost everyone has got a lap in. Oh, we have had a little bit of an off from Sarah there. Hopefully she'll be okay and get a banker lap in. Pan comes in with a 51, putting him in P22 for now, but is answered by Revy pushing into P22 as well. There we go, Revy being with Lead Paul Racing again. See, Skylar Vixen is out on a lap in the 660, and unfortunately that, I believe, was Kirsch losing it in the background there. But nevertheless, Skylar is on a lap now, followed very closely by Namay. And Namay will know that Skylar's on a lap, and unfortunately with the car ahead being on a valid lap, it's up to the car behind to leave the room. So we'll see what's going to happen here between these two cars. Skylar's perfectly entitled to stick to the line that she's on. They both come through Cheetah then. Very close together they come as well. Quite a bit of discipline going on between the two cars, but Namay does allow Skylar through, and unfortunately she does run a little bit wide, so Namay is able to take the gap. Skylar not very happy with that as Namay pushes ahead, and she comes in with a 1:47. She's got 8 minutes though to get ready and do another lap. Meanwhile, Namay, even though caught behind Skylar, has come in with a 1:43.6, pushing Fez down to second place. Snooty comes up to P3 with a 1:44.0. Plasma number 12 is in there with a 1:44.1, pushing Grim down to P5. Danny's at P6. We've got Saber in at P7. Paula, first time out in the Porsche on a flying lap. She's on a 1:44.5 at the moment. She's already on to beat it in the 1:48 Porsche 992. You can see her there just on the track behind Dip, or Dipping Sauce. Yet to put in a lap, but he is on a valid lap, so we'll see him bank something soon. 7 minutes left and 2 drivers pull into the pits. They're either changing tyres or they've considered themselves as done. We're going to stick to Paula now as she comes into the corner just before Cheetah. We'll watch her carry on as she goes through Cheetah now and onto the start-finish straight. Very smoothly through Cheetah indeed. Didn't bump the car much. She comes onto the start-finish straight. She's still very much ahead of the time that she previously set. So have a look there. It looks like it might be a 1:44.2. It's a 1:44.3, which takes her up to 7th place. Meanwhile, unfortunately, Dip has pulled off and back into the garage at P15 with a 1:45.0. Asik, or Kevin, is in with a 1:45.0. And then we've got Nate with a 1:45.1 in P17 here. Wushel at the moment all the way down in P19. Getting out of the way there for Sarah, who pushes through in her car. Whoops. But yes, here we have Wushel sporting a KM livery, it seems. So there we go. So we've got another KM driver, or maybe a KM representative in the number 69 car, Wushel. I think you'll all agree with me, that is incredibly nice indeed. Welcome to the chat, Tom. Enjoy the stream. So here we go then. Wushel's not valid at the moment. She's not on a valid lap at the moment. She's at a 1:45.3. So she's got 5 minutes to put in another lap, but hopefully we'll see what she can do. She's an avid Porsche driver, absolutely loves driving the Porsche GT3. So we'll see how she can handle this one at Kyalami at the moment. Meanwhile, Snooty McFlude goes all the way to P1 with a 1:43.5. That is an incredible time for Snooty McFlude. Paula Brady's lost it seems, on the track. She lost it? No, maybe she just pulled over to pit in. But yeah, the number 48 car, Snooty McFlude, goes up there with a 1:43.5. Name has got work to do then. We can see he's out on track at the moment. Currently ahead of his time, so we'll see if he can push Snooty down. And we've also got Fez Fox out there on another flying lap as well. Again, beginning to gain time as he comes down at the sunset. That's what we like about these races. Nobody can tell who's going to be where because we're still relatively new into the Porsche Cup then. We've got places chopping and changing all the time. Plasma is in P6. Unfortunately, Grim and Azure have moved down a place, which has in fact pushed Paula down a place, but probably time now to get maybe another 2 laps in at a push for a qualifying lap, so we'll watch the tables and see what happens. Every driver has got, nearly every driver has got a valid lap in. We've still got Sarah in the 604 Porsche and Kush in the 118. Oh no, Kush has just put in a lap then, so Kush has gone in with a 1:48.3, pushing him up to 29th, who pushes RV's Seffi down to P30, although Seffi could look like she'll come back very strong on that time. We wish her the best of luck. We'll watch her as she goes through. Meanwhile, we've still got Name on a good lap. Fez Fox pushes Snooty down with a 1:43.4. Name then is coming on to the start-finish straight. He's nearly a second up on what he was, so we'll see what he does when he crosses the line. And that's a 142, the first of the drivers into the 142s, pushes Neme all the way up to P1. And what an incredible lap that was. He'll be happy with that, with 3 minutes left to go in qualifying. It's not stopped Fezfox from pushing on though. He will push on and try and get another lap out of this. Snooty seems content at the moment with his lap. He may come out with a minute to spare. Cafe in the 992 still very easily holding on to fourth, so definitely coming in and having a rest there. We have Phil out on track in the RB225. He's currently holding on to 5th place at the moment with a 44.0. However, Azure Go is on possibly to best his time. He doesn't have to do much to gain that P5. Caught up behind the number 22 at the moment, and that is a little bit too much of a squeeze. Be interesting to see what's going on there. I believe they were both on valid laps, but we'll see what happens there. So Azure's got 2 minutes to set a time. The mate at the moment still holds P1 over Fezfox. Again, I'm just going to say it again, with an absolutely blinding 42.8 compared to the other 4 drivers that were well within the 43s. It seems like we've got Snooty and Cafe sat in the pits, as I said. They're happy with what they've done. Just under a minute and a half, just over, excuse me, a minute and a half left. Oh, and we've got a spin out by Azure there. Hopefully he can get himself back on the track, get it together and get himself another lap. Got Cushman out on the track now, trying to set another lap, and Joker is following. Seems like Joker's a little bit down on his time at the moment, but he's going to try and scoots past Cushman, who unfortunately loses it coming through the corner and turns around completely. So hopefully he can rescue the car and get back on track. The final countdown, the final minute countdown, will be a case of they've got a minute to complete their lap. So if drivers can get over the start-finish line before that minute countdown, then they've got a minute left to put in the lap before they stop. Although having said that, most of the drivers know that 1 minute 35 seconds is not a time that you can get round this track in. We'll see if Joker's able to best his time. He's in P7 at the moment as he comes across the start-finish straight. And he doesn't, no, so he's still in P7 at the moment. Azure is still in P6. And Neme is very much holding on to P1. However, Fezfox is on the start-finish straight. He comes across the line now, and he just about doesn't make it. It's still the 43s, but it's a lower 43. Very much securing the second place. As we see then, the checkered flag is out. A few cars are still on their laps, so any cars that come across now will be told that's it, game over. It's now time to wait for the start-finish straight. Your top 10 at the moment so far are looking like Neme, Fezfox, Snooty McFlude, Cafe, Leftism or Phil, Azure Goat, Joker, Grim, Plasma and Danny in the number 44 Porsche there. We did see Danny earlier. However, Danny is on a lap, and I can tell you very much he's a little bit ahead of what he's done at the moment, so there'll be an improvement there. I'm not sure if it'll be much for him to gain P9. But here he comes down into Mineshaft then, couple of corners before Cheetah Corner. And from what I'm seeing, Cheetah's not really gained any victims yet, although there are still 2 races to come. Hi Jasper, welcome to the stream. And just as the time hits, we've got Joker moves up into P5 with a 143.8. Danny unfortunately goes valid after losing it there, and whoop, someone else has gone round as well. That is the number 614 of Fops. That's very unfortunate for them. However, that will be the chance they've got left. We've got Blade Wolf now in 142. And he's finished with a 145.3. So there we go. So there we go. That comes to the... And we're back. So here we go then. Here is your grid so far. And here we go. Definitely a good grid to see. I'm going to have a quick wander down then as we see all cars lined up in position. 2 minutes setup time they get to put their cars right, to get tyres sorted, to get fuel in the car as much as they want. There's no mandatory pit stops in this race, so the drivers definitely don't come in. Surex's car there, beautiful Pride livery, absolutely loving it. Car number 420. 69 is Wushel with the famous Blahage. There we go, there she is. Number 131 is Simufur's, one of Simufur's own stewards, it's Nate. And here we go as we continue down the back of the line. Very colourful liveries there are indeed. Very colourful liveries. Oh dear. Sorry about that. And here we are. It's number 660, that is Skylar. Skylar's KM Porsche. So the KM Porsches have got a base livery, and then they get to add their own bits and bobs to it. So Skylar's is there. Sarah's got this really chic ice blue look going on. And we come down to have a look at RV's cars, very much pink, white and ice blue. Cars will start roaring into life with 30 seconds to go in a minute. You'll start to hear that. Meanwhile, we'll lock on to one of the, where are we, LPR cars. So we've actually got two here. So we've got number 148, which is Paula in Lead Paul Racing there with our own pride flag on it. Very nice. And then we've got Lead Paul Racing's Shurex. And then car number 33. Nope, sorry, excuse me, that was wrong. Anyway, we're going to go back up to the grid. You can hear them now. They're ready to go. And it will be Namay that will take us away for the opening lap of the Kyalami Grand Prix. The Kyalami Porsche Cup race. And here he goes then, followed closely by Fez. So these cars get cold tyres from the start. They don't have tyre blankets, so the drivers do definitely have to work to get these tyres up to temperature, up to the desired pressure, in order for them to have the best race they can. Rest of the pack all keeping relatively close together. You can see here the cars at the moment, they won't collide with one another, so if they do accidentally run into each other, it's not much of a problem. Although if they do this in the race, it's going to be a very big problem. Here we go, towards the back of the grid. Then everybody's doing the same thing, ducking, weaving, maybe riding the brakes as well to make sure the brakes get warm. Excuse me. Oh, Fez goes for a little bit of a spin out there. You can imagine Snooty in P3 there's probably having a bit of a chuckle behind the wheel. But not to worry, Fez Fox he's got the time to get back into position. There he goes. Very quickly getting back into position then behind Name. But that's an example of what can happen on cold tyres and no traction control. Sometimes the car will surprise you. Then the next minute or so we will start to see the cars line up in double file again. So there they go now. So just as they come through the corner before Cheetah Corner, they start to form up in twos again. So they're in 2x2s as they all work their way through Cheetah Corner. They'll probably try and go through this one slowly because obviously they might not be able to crash into one another, but if they take damage now, it is damage that sticks with them at the start of the race. So down onto the start-finish straight they come. And for the next time here at Kyalami, we're going to go racing again with the Porsche Cup. We can't see the lights, so we're going to hear it any minute now. There's the lights there, and it is green light, and away we go for the Kyalami Porsche Cup Challenge. You see there, Fez Fox immediately gets away in position with Name very close as they come into turn one. Bit of a touch between the two cars, but most of them making it through relatively safely. Name will stay ahead there. The rest of the pack comes through very, very smoothly indeed, including the drivers at the back of the pack. But it is Shurex that has unfortunately had a bit of a session. We're going to have a look at that now for Shurex. A lot of the drivers seem to be having a problem here. Let's have a look at Shurex then. So, oh dear, collected by one of the cars as we went into turn 1. Oof, and a bit of a pile up there. That is very unfortunate indeed. However, we're going to go back on board with Fez Fox then, who holds the lead at the moment. Done very well to get away from Neme. However, Neme is very close behind. Very close behind indeed. Only half a second separates these two cars. Snooty McFlude is in P3. Caffey is in P4 with Joker very close behind in P5. P6 is still Plasma. P7 is Grim. And 148 Paula will be in P8 following Grim there. Dippin' Sauce is coming very close to leftism there. Oh, sorry, not Dippin' Sauce, Valmathor. My apologies. Similar looking cars there. There's only two cars that actually separate the two of them. But nevertheless, so we complete the first lap then. The leaders are relatively unscathed here. Fez Fox holds on to P1 so far. We've got a yellow flag on track, and I believe that is Azzy. He's had a bit of a struggle there. What happened to Azzy? Damn, she's just lost it coming out. Seems like she may have just lost it coming out the corner there. That's a shame for her, but she's got 18 minutes left to carry on with the race. I believe we can see there she has pitted in, probably to repair the damage. We've got another off, it seems. Deeds seems to have lost the car. Unsure what's happening to these drivers, but it seems like Kyalami is coming back to bite a few of them. Nevertheless, Fez Fox holds P1 for now, with Neme gaining a little bit of time on Neme. Both of them gaining quite a bit of time on Snooty, but Snooty seems to be comfortably in P3 at the moment. Oh no, I tell a lie. Caffey's just overtaken Snooty for P3. So there we go. I thought Caffey was a little bit closer, a little bit further away than that. Nevertheless then, the 992 goes through for P3, followed closely by Snooty McFludes. Behind them will be Plasma, who I believe has just overtaken Joker as well. No, they haven't. Sorry, that was me. Getting closer to Joker, but at the same time, Joker's getting very close to Snooty. Balmathor goes for an overtake on Yami. Bit of a spin out from Dip there in the number 38 car. All these cars are very close to one another. Coming onto the start-finish straight. See what's going on in the first corner. It looks like nobody making a move yet. Dip looks for the outside. Doesn't quite make it happen. Wushell's there as well, being chased by Kevin. Oh, bit of a wiggle from Wushell. It allows Kevin through at the back there. Never mind, she's got plenty of time left in the race to make this back. But Valmathor is just about holding on to Yami, who's coming round the inside of Sunset, and unfortunately there's contact as they come. As that was a brave move on the inside of Sunset, but it didn't work out. However, it seems like Yami's recovered back into the position that they wanted to be, coming past Kevin, who did manage to overtake with Wushell. Let's go back to Valmathor then. So the two black and pink cars are now chasing each other. It's Valmathor on Dippin' Sauce. These two having a bit of a scrap already. We're only on lap 2 of the race so far. And we can already see some cars getting their elbows out. Seems like Dip's got a bit of a scuff to the front of his car there. They've both come through Cheetah corner. Very clean indeed, so it's good to see that Cheetah's not caught any of these two out. They come onto the start-finish straight. It's still Valmathor in P1. not P1. It's still Valmathor in P10 with Dip in P11. However, we'll see what's going to happen with these two as we come down the start-finish straight. There may be a bit of a tow going on. Nevertheless, they make it to turn 1. Dip has a bit of a look to the inside, but chooses not to in the end. And there seems to be a bit of a gap now building to Dip, so hopefully Valmathor can keep the final top 10 position then, but he's got a lot of work to do to shake Dipping Sauce off. Slightly further down the pack, we see Danny's overtaken Cameras there, and now looks to make a move on Skylar Vixen, number 660, as they come down at the sunset. It's a bold move, having a look at the inside. We've seen it didn't quite work out for Yami, but it seems like Danny's decided to hold on for now. Just ahead of Skylar there is Blade Wolf, the number 142 Porsche. Danny looks to go up the inside of Skylar. It's denied by Skylar as we come on to the hairpin before Mineshaft. Skylar covering the inside line there. Very good defensive driving from Skylar. It's not going to stop Danny from taking a look as we come down Mineshaft onto the long sweeping left-hand corner. Looking up the inside again as it goes for the move on Skylar. It's a little bit, it's tight through the corner, but Danny makes it work. Skylar runs a little bit wide there and allows for Cameras to get closer. They all make it through Cheetah easily there, and it's now Danny on Blade Wolf in P1. He's made a bit of a mistake there, though. I wonder if Skylar's going to capitalise on that. She hasn't been able to just yet. Meanwhile, at the back, it seems that Seffi's spun out and is now dropping all the way down to P28. Blade Wolf been holding Danny off then, but for now, but I wonder how long it's going to be before we see Danny go for another lunge. BBN8 now comes to the pits. I wonder if that's just to fix damage or whether or not that's going to be a case of race over for him. Danny getting closer and closer to Blade Wolf through every corner they go through. Blade Wolf is having to very much play defenses. Danny looks for the inside of Blade Wolf. That's a brave move to make if he was going to make it, but it looks like he was just having a look. Up they come through the hairpin onto Mineshaft, and Danny goes side by side with Blade Wolf. Almost checks out the outside, but goes for the switchback on the inside. Bit of a skid from Danny. He does hold on to the position. These two go side by side down Mineshaft, round the sweeping left corner. It's Danny that capitalises from it, and it's Skylar that will move to the outside, and she doesn't make that work. That was a bold move to make, but didn't catch the car in time. Needless to say, though, it seems like Cameras moved to make a position on Blade Wolf. Bit of a scuff going on here, though, and unfortunately Skylar clashes with Blade Wolf, and there is contact there. Saber Kitsune gets through very cleanly, and he says, "Thank you, I will have those two positions." Meanwhile, up ahead, then Dipping Sauce has come on to take the position from Valmathor. Valmathor now under threat by Yami. He looks to go round the outside as they come down into Sunset Corner. Just ahead of them is Paula Brady in P9. See Yami there again, having a look at the inside. Probably not a good idea on this one. It didn't work for them before, so we'll soon see what inside moves they can pull off. Meanwhile, Dip is beginning to pull a gap to Valmathor, but we're unsure if he'll keep that gap. Paula seems to be going okay so far in P9 in the 148 Porsche. She's doing very well to hold on to P9. She's in a bit of her own race at the moment, and unfortunately Bracken's had a little bit of an off there. We'll see what happened there. Coming down, it's just after Sunset Corner. Oh, just a little bit of a skid. Luckily Bracken didn't catch the wall, but it has allowed Nick to get through and Wushu to get through as well. So well recovered from Bracken. He's into holding Danny off at the moment. Danny's recovered quite well from that. However, it's Blade Wolf that seems to have lost out, unfortunately. Danny's now being chased by Surex in a number 420. Meanwhile, up the front, Fezfox still holds on to P1, gaining over a second now on the May, with Snooty in P3 and Joker in P4. Got Caffey and Grim Lilith having a bit of a fight. Caffey has a bit of a wiggle, but Grim's going on the inside. It's a very brave move indeed. They go side by side just after Sunset Corner. Grim is not letting this one go. And here we go then, down. Oh no, sorry, this is now Sunset Corner, excuse me. We'll get a track map for the next race, I promise you, but it looks like Grim's going to hold on for now and make a new plan of attack in the next couple of corners. Plasma and Joker seem to be having a bit of a scrap up front, just ahead of these two as well, although Joker is still holding on to P4. You can see it there, Grim is forever getting closer to Caffey, so we'll see if he's going to make a move anytime soon. I'm sure all Grim's planning for at the moment is one little mistake from Caffey as we come down Mineshaft. It seems like just behind them, Dip and Paula are going to go toe to toe, but they've been joined by Valmathor and Yami. Then all this for P9 or Dip's P10. Yami goes side by side nearly as they all come through Cheetah Corner. Bit of a wiggle there from Paula. She's holding on to P9 at the moment, though Dip and Valmathor are very close behind, putting a lot of pressure on her as they all head down to T1. This could either be a very clean, tight corner for all of them, or it could be a very messy corner depending on what move they decide to do. Nevertheless, it's Paula that will lead into turn 1 from Dipping Sauce Valmathor. Yami goes side by side, but then Valmathor comes back on the inside. Excuse me there. So there we go. We have Paula still holding on to Dip for P9, Dip in P10. So the last of the top 10 positions is now held by Dip. We'll see how these four pan out a little bit later on in the race. There's only 6 minutes left of the race. I'm sure everybody is aware of that. We've got Danny now catching up with Bracken. Bit of a wiggle coming out of the corner. Nevertheless, it's allowed Bracken to get away a little bit more for position P16. And here they go up towards the hairpin before Mineshaft. Seems like Danny had a bit of a better corner there. The gap is ever so slightly decreasing. We'll see what Danny decides to do coming down into these few corners. We wiggle out the corner from Bracken, but he does keep the position ahead. Still, it's allowed Danny to get a little bit closer. Oh, bit of a wiggle from Danny there. Again, it allows Bracken to hold on to the position as they come through Cheetah. A bit too much of a bounce there from Danny, but he has caught it. And behind them, Surex. Unfortunately, Cheetah claims its first victim in Surex. Here we go, we'll see what happened there. You can see this corner is an evil corner to take. Bang! The Surex goes over Cheetah, but does very well to rescue the car. It's not uncommon for drivers to just lose it completely at that point and absolutely throttle the wall. There's been a coming together, it seems, from... seems to be there's a coming together from Yami. They go side by side through this corner here, behind Paula. Yami goes, it seems like, oh, and there's a little bit of a collection, it seems. Nevertheless, both cars have lost out there. They're taking a bit of time to get it sorted out between them. But Cameras has gone through, Fops has gone through. Valmathor is still trying to gain the car again. He's in P74. Pulls out into the middle of the track. There's 4 cars that are fighting for position try and fight their way around them. That is not an ideal spot to be in. Nevertheless though, it is Azure, Sabre and Deeds that are all having a bit of a scrap with one another. Cameras has moved to take over Yami for P17. These three cars are sticking very close to one another, and it's Skylar that's just ahead of them for P21. Unsure what happened to Azure, it's put him down in P22, but nevertheless he's got three very quick drivers coming through a series of corners there. They'll all be looking for Azure to make a slight mistake so they can both slip through. Nevertheless, they're catching Skylar at a good pace. She is about 7 seconds ahead at the moment, but these three drivers here are top of the grid drivers, so it shouldn't be too long before they're on top of Skylar, but they're very much on top of one another at the moment as they approach Cheetah. Oh, that was rough for two of them at least through Cheetah. That is going to be damage at some point. There we go, you can see Sabre looks to go up the inside. Deeds loses it completely out the final corner. The traction control just wasn't there. Unfortunately, it was not there for any of the drivers either. Nevertheless, Yami, Revy all slipped through, although Yami has returned to the pits. I wonder if... Nope, so not quite Seffi. She's in P27 at the moment. She's in her own race. She's moved up to P26 because Yami's pitted. Very much a quiet time for Seffi out on the track. In P26 then. She's 5 seconds off of Deeds. The next person is Pan, who seems to be about, it says a minute on there. I don't really believe that. I'll have a look on, well, maybe it could be, but nevertheless, there we've got Seffi. Ah, there we go. It's about 30 seconds that splits these two cars. So she's got Deeds that's 4 seconds ahead of her, and she's making time up on. And she's got Pan, who is 30 seconds behind her. So she's very much in her own race at the moment. Meanwhile, coming back up through the other LPR, nope, the RB driver, excuse me. We have Leftism or Phil in car 225 in the top 10 at P28, chasing down Plasma and Grim in the other RB car. Grim holding on to a solid P6, but Plasma is getting very, very close indeed as they come down towards Sunset. Very important to note then, there's only a minute and 40 seconds left. It's been 20 minutes already. There's a bump from Plasma that pushes Grim wide. Leftism slows down a bit to let his teammate back on track, but it's Plasma that's lost out there. The dip's gone by. Next person to catch Plasma is Paula. She's in P10 at the moment, so she's holding on to P10. About a second off of her is Kevin in the number 14 Porsche, and then Wusho's moved all the way up to P12, so she's doing very well indeed. And with Nick in P13, Danny's managed to climb back up to P14, but we're not sure what else we can see here. However, it seems there's been a change of drivers up the front. It's Name that now leads the race, and he is 7 seconds. 7 seconds ahead of Studio McFlude. And Fez Fox is now in P3, so something must have happened there on track. Unfortunately, we didn't catch it. However, nevertheless, it's now Fez in P3, Studi in P2. And Name is off like a rocket in P1. Down in P4 then is Joker. Done very well to hold on to P4. Number 5 is Caffey in the 992. Unfortunately, that was a KM driver that spun off there, so it might have been a driver that we're currently down. I believe it's Sarah. The Sarah in P27. Quite a lot of cars have pitted and called it a day. Only she can capitalise from that. Two RB drivers, Grim and Phil, are in P6 and 7. They seem relatively content with that. However, Dipping Sauce or Dip might have a bit of an answer to that. He's got a few corners left. He's got a few corners left to make up that position, but nevertheless, we're going to go back to Name, who comes into the final few corners. Then Cheetah being one of them. You can see that yellow curb there, easily through Cheetah corner with a bit of a bump, and he comes down onto the start-finish straight. There's a RV car of Seffi there, just doing her best to cross the line. And there we go, that is Name that finishes in P1. Steenie McFlude comes across to finish in P2. Fez in P3. Joker comes in for P4, and Caffey will take P5. Meanwhile, Grim Lilith comes in to take P6, with Phil at P7. And there's a lockup between Paula and Kevin there in P11 and 10, right before the start-finish straight. Paula comes in to finish at P10. Wushel then makes the position for P11. Danny will take P12, and Kevin will come home in P14 with Bracken in P15. Meanwhile, coming across the track is Cameras for P16. Fops will hold on to P17. Blade will be P19. Skylar will come across to finish in P20 after holding off Azure and Saber Kitsune, who will finish in P21 and P22. And there we go. P23 was Valmathor, followed by Deeds and Revi here. 24 or 25. The Seffi is finished in P26. And then, of course, we have Pan, Yami, BBN8 and Azzy that finish, unfortunately, at the back of the grid. However, that has been your first race at Kyalami. Excuse me. Here he is, your race winner so far. Then, and we will come back very shortly for the next round of the Simufur Porsche Cup Challenge. And after a short break there, we are back. So drivers get 9 minutes practice, but really all we're waiting for there is drivers to come back into the grid, everybody to make sure that everybody connects again, and we go racing for the second time running tonight for the Porsche Cup. I will be back momentarily. And hopefully we've got a bit of a surprise in store for you. So we come back, all drivers eagerly awaiting to go back in the start-finish straight. There is 6 minutes of free practice. Drivers are allowed out and about if they want to. I believe it is Deeds that we see coming out, but a bit of a shakedown run on the 757-992. Four minutes left of free practice then before we go into our second race. Second race a lot longer. You can see some of the drivers are out and about, having a bit of a practice. Following Deeds there, but we do have a few other drivers on the track. We've got number 22, Sefi in the RV Porsche 992. Cafe in the 992. Having a bit of a race with Joker there. Oh dear. Bit of a practice race between those two. Joker seems to have held the line. Cafe's warming up the tyres. Maybe they're going to go again for another attack in the 3 minutes that they've got left. Who else have we got out on track? We've got Plasma, the number 12 992. See him coming into Sunset Corner now. Very vibrant colour. As I said, he'll tell you it's purple, but you could almost argue it was salmon pink. Salmon pink. But we won't call it salmon pink, we'll call the salmon pink car purple, because we know purple will make him happy. Number 12, Plasma Raider, the 992. Yami in the number 6. Porsche there had a very eventful first race, so we'll soon find out how they can get on in the second race. Bit of a twist in today's second race, we'll be able to tell you in just a couple of minutes as to whether or not it's worked or not. it's just a bit of a waiting game at the moment. 31 cars have joined now, so we've got 30 seconds left before we got on to race 2. Your current race leader, Namei, is sat in the pits at the moment, just eagerly waiting to see what race 2 presents. Paula Brady out having a bit of a practice as the last 15 seconds count down. So a quick look there of the driver's perspective of going through Cheetah. As you can see, it's almost a blind corner. You don't see that sausage car coming into it. You certainly see it before it. Nevertheless though, here we have a reverse grid. I'm pleased to say that it works. I don't know why I'm laughing, but I'm very pleased to say that it works. So then, given that Azzy, Nate, Yami and Pan didn't finish the race, they now have the fortunate event that they start on the front of the grid. We're missing one driver it seems, so someone didn't make it back. However, there we go, there is your reverse grid. So for some of these drivers, they get to see now what it's like to start at the front of the grid, which means that all the way back here is your current winner, Namei. All the way down in P31. And if I were him, I'd be looking at this grid thinking, well, no, I've got some work to do. So there we are then, a reverse grid for Simufur. The first ever reverse grid for Simufur, might I point out. And today it will be led by Azzy. I'm not sure if she was 100% expecting to be on the front row, but nevertheless, she starts next to Nate. So Nate didn't complete race 1, but he has the fortune of starting in P2 for race number 2. So this will be interesting for all of them. Then it's a new dynamic for some of them. For the likes of Seffi, who finished almost at the back of the grid, and Sarah, who was the last of the running drivers. They get to see just what it's like vast majority of the AM class there starting up the front, which is what we like to see. It gives them the learning opportunity they need for this one. We get the 30-second warning, so we should start hearing cars roaring into action once more. It's worth pointing out that if a driver doesn't have their engine switched on, by the time session start counter runs out, then they do automatically get teleported to the pits. So off we go then, as he leads the formation lap of our second race tonight. Second race is 30 minutes long. Compared to the first race, it was just 20 minutes long. I think what we've come to learn tonight with the people that pitted in the first race, it always pays not to fully quit the race. There's always a silver lining in every cloud, and the silver lining for them is that now they get to start on the front of the grid. Now the leaders of the last race get to see what it's like to fight all the way through the rest of the silvers, the amateur racers. They get a keen eye on what it's like just to be at the back of the grid. As we see Azzy coming down, or coming into, excuse me, Clubhouse Bend and onto the Crocodiles. Nope, Clubhouse Bend and onto the S's. As I said, I did look up a track map. So we're now this hairpin going up here. It's called Leocop. I'm going to call it the hairpin because I don't think I've said that right. You know, drivers having a bit of a wiggle. Getting those tyres really, really warmed up. Bit of a gap between these. I wonder if these two are going to sit back and watch the utter calamity, if any, up at the front of the grids and just make it back through the race that way. We'll soon find out. The cars have begun to, oops, the cars have started to form up again in twos. It is Nate and Azzy that start alongside one another as this is the Crocodiles corner they come through. The turn before Cheetah. You can see them heading down now to the illustrious Cheetah corner. Cheetah corner consists of that yellow sausage curb there. You can see it when you approach up to it, but then when you go through the corner it's pretty blind from that point on. It's a guessing game as to how wide your car is compared to where the curb is, and if you catch it wrong it is very much race ending, but Nevertheless, here we go. Any minute now. It's Azzy and Nate that lead P1 and 2. The lights are at the top of the grid.
Green light.
And it's green light, then away we go for race number 2 at Kyalami. Then you can see Nate's already got ahead of Azzy. Yami's coming up the inside of Azzy as he lead into the turn corner. It's 3 wide. But Yami has made a very good move going up the inside there. He's jumped Nate and Azzy, who come together side by side. Then still not much contact there. Whoop! Someone's gone a little bit wide. The back of the pack have very much bunched up in the middle there. These three though are having a bit of a battle to their own, which is great for Yami. He's been able to get away very easily. And they come into Clubhouse, and the gap's already opened up then, so Yami's got away easily. Azzy holds P2 at the moment. She'll be happy with that so far. She's got 30 minutes left of the race to make that position back. Nevertheless, Saber Kitsune seems to be fighting his way out the field. Sarah just moving over there and letting Saber and Dip through. Deeds pushes through Sarah on the inside. Shurex is nixed up to come past Sarah again, just goes by on the inside. Nick and Plasma just go through on the inside. And there seems to be a bit of a muddle then between all these cars, so we're gonna have a look at it from Sarah's point of view. She's gone wide, so Plasma's able to get through with Nick shortly behind. Kevin comes through there as well. Come through Cheater Corner. Someone had a bit of a bump there, but everybody's managed to pull it to a halt behind. Then we've got Nate, who's unfortunately dropped it. What happened, Nate? Have a look at that again, excuse me. We've got Nate then coming through the final corner and oh dear. Oh my goodness gracious me. All the way from P4. Smash! And there seems to have been another accident as well between Joker, Skylar and Snooty. Quite a few people haven't made it out of that then. We'll see what's going on there. What went on there? Seems like Skylar had a bit of an off coming onto the track and oof! Caught Nate out. Never mind. As they say, the race goes on, so Skylar is in P25. Pan is chasing. And it's Phil that gets through for P24. Nate is in P23 then. He's got 26 minutes to get as far back up the grid as he can. Meanwhile, Fez Fox and Joker are pitted. Paula is down in P29. She must have had an off somewhere. Bracken's in P28. Snooty is fighting Pan for P26. Where is our race leader, Name? Name's made it all the way up to P17. Oh, two of the KM cars come together. That's not good. Oh no, sorry, it wasn't two of the KM cars, it was Sarah and Danny. A bit of a different rejoin there from Sarah, but she ends up side by side with Seppi on the start-finish straight. And it's Cameras that's looking to get through. Looks at the inside, is not really going to have the space to make it. Seppi will go through first. Sarah backs out a little bit but opens the door for Cameras to squeeze through. And there's Revy as well, who almost goes for an outside move but is blocked off by Sarah. Seems that there's another yellow flag as Skylar Vixen drops it on the course. That's a shame for Skylar. She would have started up quite high as well. Nevertheless then Sarah has a half a second gap to Revy behind. And Cameron seems to be opening up the gap ahead. Nate and Phil go toe to toe with each other coming on I forget the corner name. But needless to say, it is Phil that has gone through and taken Nate for P23. Caffey pushes through to catch Bladewell for P21. Bit of a wiggle there, but he does get a much better getaway than Blade, so immediately opening up that gap there. Meanwhile, out the front, Yami continues to hold the gap. 5 seconds off Azure, who's made it through the rest of the field, along with Valmathor in P3 now. Dip will be P4. And it seems that Azzy's moved down to P5 and is now being taken on by Surex. And of course, Saber wants in on the action. Saber moves inside Surex, but it ends up being outside. A bit of a wiggle from Surex, and Saber squeezes through. He's now going to look to take over Azzy, who has a bit of a wiggle, but so does Surex and Saber. There's nearly contact between all of them. Plasma looks for the gap between Surex and Saber. Oof! Oh, they make it work. Plasma down on the inside of Sunset will now be next to challenge Azzy. Bit of a contact there, it looks like, but all the cars come out all right. Sabre comes back at Plasma on the inside. Plasma holds on. It's unfortunately Surex that's lost out here. And oof, there's been contact. There's been contact between Plasma and Sabre, so those two are going to continue to tumble down the rest of the field. It's left Surex to chase Azzy again, along with Kevin in P7 and Deeds in P8. A lot of them caught back up with one another now. Deeds having a bit of a wiggle, so it allows for Grim and Newbie to get through. That means Azzy's done very well to push all the way up to P5 again now, so not much lost for Azzy. Dip is in P4, he'll be loving that. He'll be chasing Balmathor, the other pink and purple, the other black and purple car. Forever closing the gap as well. And who else do we have? We've got Azure up in P2, who's looking absolutely bombing it down the start finish straight in hope of catching Yami. Yami having a very good race indeed. 5 seconds off of Azure. He's amateur class at the moment. The next off of him is a pro class driver, and all he seems to be doing at the moment is holding the gap to Azure, so we'll see how they get on in the next couple of laps. Needless to say, Dip is still chasing Balmathor, as he's now in her own little race now in P5, but she's got a group of about 5 cars all pushing as hard as they can to chase one another. It seems like Surex must have dropped it a couple of corners back, because Grim and Newbie have been able to get through. That means Deeds is open to challenging Surex if they have a bad corner again. Just behind then you've got Fox and Kevin, who are battling for the final position in the top 10. God, all this action so far, and we're only 9 minutes into the race, everyone. 9 minutes into the race. Wushell's moved to overtake Plasma for P12. Up the inside comes Name. There's a touch of contact with Plasma, but nevertheless, the two of them go side by side with one another. Oh, what are these camera angles? The two of them go side by side with one another. Plasma holds a position ahead for now. We'll see what Name can do. He shoots up the inside, coming through Crocodile's corner. Moves to block off the outside, and unfortunately Plasma has to give that position. They come through Cheetah easily there. Plasma seems to have taken a bit of a tumble, but he's okay again. Nevertheless, that's Name up to P14 and looking to challenge Wushell, Fox, Kevin and Deeds. It seems like Kevin has moved to overtake Fox. It seems like Wushell's making a move on Fox herself, going into the first corner. And May looks like he's squeezing through as well. He's taking every advantage of that. Plasma is being caught up behind Fox now. He's looking to get over on the outside. It's a bit of a squeeze, and he has made that work. May now looks to take on Wushell. Then for P11, May is shooting up the field. Into Sunset they go. Wushell covers the inside as May looks to possibly look at going up the inside, but indeed he will hold position for now. Nevertheless, he's going to keep the pressure on Wushell as Plasma manages to get past Fox for P12. Seems to have got a good run on May. Here we go then, down on the mine shaft. May's had to slow down quite a bit, but he does go up the inside of Wushell, so that's another position. If he can hold on and gain the speed going through the next corner, it's Wushell that seems to run wide and Plasma gets through. There's a bit of contact between Plasma and Name catches his brakes, but that is unfortunately position lost to Plasma. He rejoins the track right next to Wushell as they go through Cheetah Corner. That's an amazing recovery from Name. There's cars going 3 wide behind them though. Who is that? That's Danny, Sabre, Fox. They're all looking to have a bit of a battle between them as they go 3 wide on the start finish straight. It's Danny and Sabre that seem to have the advantage for now. It looks looks like it's going to be Danny that will take the inside line. It's a very good move to have, but Saber's going to hold on to the outside, and unfortunately it's Wushel that loses out. Shurex has dropped it after the first corner, and Danny and Saber continue to fight side by side with one another. For P13 this is, Wushel not far behind at all. It's great racing to see from all the drivers. It's very respectful so far. At the same time, they all want it. Azure up ahead has closed the gap to Yami to just 4 seconds now. 18 minutes left. Can Yami hold on? Can Yami hold on to P1? Well, that's... Look at Azure, he has set the fastest lap at the moment. He is absolutely on one, trying to gain that P1 position. Of course, Azure is no stranger to holding a P1 position in other communities he's joined and raced in. So he knows what it's like to be a winner. He knows what it's like to gain that winning position as well. Oh, and Plasma and the May have seemed to have dropped it. What's gone on there? It seems to have been a bit of a maybe contact between those two. Let's have a look then as they come through Crocodile's corner. They go side by side, and of course 2 into 1 just does not go into that corner. That's both Nemei and Plasma that lose out to Wushel, Saber and Danny, so that's unfortunate for them. Wushel, it seems like they're not going to give up though. Nemei side by side again with Plasma through to turn 1. It looks like he's going to try and make the move on Wushel as well. It doesn't happen. He does push. Oh, who was that? That was Saber that ran wide. Nemei manages to push on past Plasma Raider. And then you've got Fox sat behind all of them, just scooping up positions as and when the accidents happen. All Fox needs to do is just concentrate and he'll be okay. But Nemei looks to take on Wushel then, as Wushel chases Danny. Danny's in the final top 10 position. There's 16 minutes left of the race to go. There's plenty of time left for these cars to make a move. Just up ahead it seems like we've got Azzy in P6 who seems to be in a bit of a battle for by Newbie. Although judging by it, she seems to be slowly building the gap to Newbie again. Grim is pushed past to P5, but as he closes the gap, as they head down towards Cheetah Corner. Oh, whoa, that's one way to take Cheetah Corner, but if you can recover the car and you can make it work, then by all means go for it. Just back here, and it seems to have made it past Wushel. It's Plasma that's going to move to overtake Wushel, and Surex has unfortunately lost the car again. He retreats, they retreat to the pit lane. That's extremely unfortunate for them. 15 minutes left. Meanwhile, whilst we've got Shurex in the pits, Nate has come out the pits to race again. He's being chased by Phil in the number 225. We've got Snooty in P20. Unfortunately, Seffi's dropped all the way back to P21. It seems that Paula is in P28, soon to be P27. Looks like Joker and Skylar have decided to call it a day. That is very unfortunate for them. Sarah has also managed to make it back up from P26. Not sure what happened to Paula. She's all the way at the back of the grids on her own. Here, 17 seconds off of Sarah. Fops seems to have dropped it. That's a shame for Fops. He was looking to make up positions. It's Cameras that's going to approach and challenge them. You can see in the background there, Nate still holding off Phil. Fops has managed to get going again. Phil and Nate come closer and closer to one another as they go through Crocodiles and head down to Cheetah. Fantastic racing going on. Here we go then through Cheetah Corner. Very smooth for both of them. Studio McFlude is not far behind these two, so we'll see if he looks to capitalise later on in the race. Just behind there, Seffi looks to have lost it and lets Blade Wolf through. I believe that might have been Cheetah claiming a victim again. Needless to say, it's Bracken that's going to challenge. Revy's dropped it just before Cheetah Corner. Oh, and just rides the Cheetah Corner and makes it work. That would have been insult to injury had Revy not made it across Cheetah Corner. The May moves here to take over Danny. That means the May moves to take up the final top 10 position. Plasma Raider still pushing real hard to get past Danny as they come down into the S's. The May's got work to do if he thinks it's over now. There's 12 minutes left of the race. Danny is not one to give up. Plasma is definitely not one to give up as they come through to the hairpin onto Mineshaft. Plasma moves for the inside on Danny. They go 2 by 2 down onto Mineshaft. Then it is Plasma that just comes out ahead, but there's still work to be done by Danny. You've seen a mate there shoot through to Crocodiles. Plasma holds on to the position so far, and unfortunately Danny doesn't come back and make it work. There they come on to that. Oh, bit of a line to take by Danny. They all make it through Cheetah Corner relatively safely, including Bushel in P13. She's being chased by Caffey at the moment, who's 2 seconds behind. Seems that Phil has overtaken Nate for P18, and Snooty works on closing position tonight, although it seems like Phil had a bit of a bad corner there, but Nate seems to squeeze through. Snooty will follow as well. I wonder if he'll look to get something done before the first corner. Not quite, but we'll check back up on them later. Meanwhile, the top 10 hasn't moved much. Obviously we know Neme is holding off Plasma here. Got Kevin in his own race in P9. He's getting closer and closer to Deeds, but has nothing to worry about behind him for now, as this long snake of cars behind him seems to make their way through. These four are going to be one to watch towards the end of the race. And here's our current race leader, Yami, who's actually looking to come up and lap a car if they continue driving as quick as they're driving. That is Surex. Oh, Pan seems to have gone a little bit wide there and has decided to call it a day, and that is then done with the race. So Surex can move through and take that position. Anyway, back to what I was saying. Yami still 5 seconds off Azure Goat. Azure Goat must have either had a bad corner somewhere or is beginning to struggle with tyres. But needless to say, they've had a fantastic race so far. They've had 20 minutes of the race, there's still 10 minutes to go. They just need to worry about keeping it clean and not dropping it on any of the corners. Doesn't necessarily matter about fastest lap at the moment. That was held by Azure, but it's now being held by Neme, who has done a 1:44.2. Kevin drops it on track, it seems, and has returned to the pits and decided to call it a day with 10 minutes left to spare. So he pits from P9 then. That gives Neme an easy position to move up to, and that will also give Plasma the final top 10 position. See Azure go just by the timing. He's slowly but surely working his way closer and closer to Yami, but Yami's doing extremely well to hold on there. Studio McFlude has overtaken Phil. Nate moves to race cameras now for position. Here we go. Oh, camera's a bit slow out the corner there. It's bunched all the cars out. Studio McFlude seems to get a bit of a beat from Phil clearly telling him to speed up a bit. He wants through. Nate goes through on the inside of cameras as they come onto Mineshaft now. Snoody's going to take full advantage of the open door. Hopefully full advantage of the open door. Doesn't quite work, but they've got Crocodile's corner to go. Cameras has gone wide and allows Phil and Snoody to get back through. He's got no choice but to concede that one there. Sirex is back out on the grids. Is that Sirex? That is Sirex, so they've had to move over. Whoop! Cameras has a bit of a slip. He gets himself going again though. It's allowed Blade and Brackens catch up with another. They're having a bit of a fight. Steffi and P22 still in a race of her own there. Sirex comes to take P26 then as Kevin has unfortunately pitted and called it a day. Let's see what else is going on. If anything, you've got Sarah there. Oh dear. Bit too much brakes. Way! And there goes Paula as well with a little bit too much brakes. But very cleanly drifts into P24. What? I'm not sure this racing's allowed, but nevertheless, it's Paula that gets P24 over Sarah in P25. Going back up the grid, we've got Snoody forever chasing Nate, but is being caught by Phil, it seems. Azure must have had an off somewhere or other. Let's have a look, see if we can see something, because I mean, Azure was 5 seconds off of Yami, and now it's 10 seconds with Valmafor. And both of them looked at, oh, bit of contact there going into the first corner. That ends up forcing Azure to miss brakes and go wide, it seems. Valmafor takes the position. I'm not sure Azure will be happy with that. That is a very big gap to open up. Unsure what's happened there. We'll see if we can, nope, nevertheless. Never mind. We'll jump back to our race leader then. So there we go, it's Yami. 6 minutes left of the race. They're doing everything they can to just keep that car clean and keep it ahead of the field. Meanwhile, we have Pan, who seems to have joined the track again in P28. Now he's got a couple of laps to do before actually making the position up on Kevin. We've got Sirex, Sarah, Paula and Revy. Nope, Sirex, Sarah in a race, and Snoody McFlude and Nate are in their own race. Nope, that's not Sarah. Who's that? That is the RV racing driver of Phil, excuse me. Bit of a slide out from Phil there. Sirex looks to get through, but unfortunately they're not really going to be allowed through there because they are a lap down on these guys, so if they did get through they'd have to move straight back over again. Nate so far managing to hold off Snoody, but Snoody's getting ever so closer as they work their way through Cheetah. Nate had a bit of a bad corner there. Covers the outside line coming out the corner, blocks Snoody off from taking advantage of that. And it seems like Snoody's going to go for the train and tow from Nate, as well as Phil taking the tow from Snoody. They come down into the first corner. It looks like Phil goes around the outside of Snoody, but Snoody's held on just about. These two fighting has definitely given Nate a bit of a breathing space. And unfortunately Snoody's got to do all that work again. Further up here we've got Anime and P10 Danny's not far behind the May actually. Just less than a second off. Let's see what's happening here. But further up we've got Dip, who's now taking on Azure Go out in a couple of bad corners there. Especially Cheetah, but Dip is very much almost looking at the outside, but they come very close. The Dip challenging for that final podium position from Azure. He knows he's got 3 minutes left to get this done. It could be a first corner heroics. It's not going to be. It's not first corner heroics. Is it going to be a switchback? It's not quite that either. Azure does very well to defend from Dip. Nope, wrong camera. Azure does very well to defend from Dip and keeps the position for now as they go up into barbecue. You can see there both the cars look like they're taking a bit of a scuff, but it's not stopped them from hard racing one another. 2 minutes left of the race, any minute now. It seems like, yeah, any minute now it'll get announced that Yami is on the final lap of the race. Balmathor has closed the gap immensely, but there's still 8 seconds to be made up. It was 10 seconds, they've shut the gap by 2 seconds now. We'll come back to these two in a minute, we'll see if there's anything else going on. It's a battle between Plasma, Azzy and Nemei. All for P7. Nemei looks to move on the inside of Plasma. He holds on, he gets the position. Can Plasma come back up on the inside as they go to Crocodile? No. Oh, he does. Excuse me, he does. And now Plasma moves to take on Azzy as they both go through Cheetah Corner. Oh, bit of a paint trade between Asma and Plazzy. There we go. Bit of a paint trade between Plasma and Azzy as they get through the corner, and May takes full advantage of the bad corner from Azzy. Then he looks to chase Plasma down onto turn 1. However, Azzy's got the inside and just touches Plasma coming through. They both slow down and maintain Plasma's position for now, but they can go racing again. The May's taking advantage of that, is now in P8 compared to Azzy in P9. Danny is pushing through to P10. Danny is pushing through to P9 as we speak, but hasn't quite made it work yet. Nevertheless, that's not gonna stop him. There we go, down through Sunset onto Barbecue. Wushel getting ever so close to Danny, as well as Cafe following behind as well. Just behind them you've got Deeds and Saber beginning to take on a fight as we've got 30 seconds left of the race. We'll come back to them in a minute. It seems like Yami's caught up with one of the back markers. I believe that is Pan. Pan moves over to let Yami through there. Very good, running a little bit wide, and that is going to be another lap. If Yami had just slowed down a little bit there, he could have called it race end. Oh, Nemei's moved to overtake Azzy. Danny is making a move, was making a move on Azzy, didn't quite make it work out. Nevertheless, now they have one final race. Then it seems like Bracken has unfortunately lost it coming up to the hairpin. Steffi can take full advantage of this as she gets a bit of a speed on going through the hairpin, but unfortunately Bracken has got back up to speed. Paula moves to take on Revy for P23. There is some redemption left in this race. Revy goes a little bit wide and allows Paula easily through. See if Sarah can catch the gap. She can't yet. She has had to move over for the race leader. Meanwhile, Saber's moved to overtake Deeds. Everything's going on here. Bracken's lost it again. Poor lad's lost it again at Crocodile Corner. He's got Cheetah to come through now, and little does he know it, or I'm sure he does know it, he's still got a full lap left of the course. Full lap left of the course. But needless to say, we're going to come back to this lad. It's his first race for Simufur tonight. And through the fortune of a reverse grid, he comes through Cheetah Corner for the final time tonight in the Porsche Cup. Down onto the start-finish straight. And here he is, the winner of the Porsche Cup Race 2. Number 6, Yami, who finishes 6 seconds ahead of Valmathor. And there he goes, P2. P3 is Grim there, followed very closely by Azure and Nick for P4 and 5. Dip makes it through to P6. They may fall all the way back up to P7, but there's a fight going on between these guys. It's Azzy, Danny, Wushel that come side by side onto the grid, and it is Azzy that will take P9. Wushel will take P10, Saber will take P11. What a race that second race was. But there we go. Oh, he's come back to pits already, that's it, he's done. And there we go, folks. A few of the racers coming across the grid now. Cameras, Blade Wolf, Phil, all fighting for P18. The final corners, it's Phil going round Blade Wolf. There's contact before the start finish, straight before the finish line. There we go, Blade Wolf gets away. Phil can now get away. And Seffi comes round to take a very safe P19 finish. That's a very good finish for Seffi. Bracken brings it home in P18. Paula will finish in P19 after having a bit of a trouble at the back. And Revy will finish in P22, it seems. And there you go. There are all our racing drivers home safe from the grid. From a very, very eventful second race. And that, today, brings you to the end of our Simufur race. And what a night to have as well. I mean, we had a reverse grid function, the first ever reverse grid function that we've had for Simufur. We've not had that before. We've had an exciting battle in which some of the leaders from the first race were able to finish relatively high in the second race. But more importantly, we had a great race from Yami, who kept his cool, just stuck it out through the whole half an hour race. He knew he had Azure on his back. Azure dropped it, unfortunately. He then had Valmathor on his back, continuously working to close that gap. But he did it. He finished in P1 at the end of a longer Simufur race. So that brings our night to an end for round 2 of the Simufur Porsche Cup. Next week, you can join us for the first of 2 back-to-back British races. So we'll first be heading to the legendary Alton Park with these Porsches next Sunday night at the same time. Thank you very much for tuning in. I'm glad you got to see the action that I got to see. That's what racing's all about with us. Needless to say, we look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you very much, and good night.